This week in Jamaica Now, the aftermath.
We need help at Sunnyside.
The road to recovery after the May flood rains. Roads, bridges and homes lost and one man killed in the disaster. Prime Minister talks tough, says building rules will now be enforced.
Informal settlement, haphazard settlement, those things cannot be allowed to continue.
No estimates yet, but agriculture hard hit and work continues to clear blocked roads. Samuda pays $500,000 for controversial grass project at his St. Catherine farm, and elderly women killed in separate attacks on the North Coast. I'm Damian Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. It's been a rough week for numerous families in Jamaica, hard hit by disastrous flood rains that battered the island on Monday night. From all assessments, the central parish of Clarendon has been the worst hit of the 11 parishes affected. The parish of St. Catherine, primarily communities in the northeast, have also taken a battering. In Dover, St. Catherine, the road linking Guy's Hill to Linstead was broken away, forcing people to take routes through cane fields and private property to leave their communities. In Cave Valley, St. Anne, the town was submerged for several hours. And in the Linstead community of Sunnyside, some 30 people had to be rescued by soldiers from the Jamaica Defence Force Coast Guard with support from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management as well as the police. Help came more than 5 hours after one woman used social media to issue a desperate appeal for assistance.
This lady is outside from after 3 this morning with her twins, and we have been calling for help. The babies, they are in their hands. We are calling for help from this morning. We're calling the JDF, we call fire brigade, we call the police. Everybody come, but nobody cannot cross it. Nobody cannot cross the water. That is the other side of the road.
And there's no final word yet on just how much it will cost to repair the damage caused by the flood rains to the island's infrastructure. But early estimates indicate it will run into billions of dollars. Agriculture has also taken a hit, with widespread devastation reported at the Plantain Garden River Agro Park. There are also now fears that the projected growth for this year will be affected. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness is warning that there will now have to be changes where buildings are allowed to be constructed.
Where people choose to live will now have to take on greater scrutiny. Informal settlement, haphazard settlement, those things cannot be allowed to continue in our future. The cost of it is just too much, and it's not just the cost in the infrastructure and the cost in housing, but there's the cost in lives.
In the meantime, civil engineer Carvel Stewart says it's imperative that the national drain solution be designed to address the long-standing problem of heavy flooding. Stewart, who's also a past president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association, says a major flaw of Jamaica's drainage system is the designing of roads to carry water. He says roads are being used as drains to channel water into certain areas, and sometimes the water ends up on land which does not have any outlet for drainage. In other news, the opposition says the matter of the controversial government grass project on the private farm of the Agriculture Minister Samuda has not ended with his decision to pay some $546,000 for the service. In Parliament this week, Mr. Samuda waived his receipt as proof of payment.
I paid it knowing fully well that there is no, and the reason I am advised why it took so long is because there is no provision under the program for any participant to pay for the services that they have received, many of whom have received a considerably larger contribution to their farms than I have, who have not paid for the service, as is in keeping with the program itself. I have, and I feel more comfortable doing that.
However, Mr. Samuda admitted that it was a mistake for him to accept the offer for free grass at his dairy farm. There was shock in the northern parishes of St. Anne and Trelawney this week following the murder of 2 elderly women. 88-year-old Nettie Rowe was on Thursday found stabbed to death at her home in Runaway Bay, St. Anne. Hours later, news came that 76-year-old businesswoman Hyacinthia Wright, the wife of former Falmouth Mayor Joseph Wright, had been stabbed to death in a separate incident at her shop on Trelawney Street. The weapon that took her life was still stuck in her neck when the body was discovered. People who live in proximity to the store where Wright sold mostly craft items were angered by the killing. Local law enforcement authorities say it appears that lottery scamming seems to be declining with the recent extradition of several top players in the scheme. According to Sergeant Kevin Watson, who heads the Anti-Lottery Scam Task Force, many scammers have gone into hiding while others have abandoned the illicit scheme and are now opting for a legitimate source of earnings. The scammers first came to the fore in Montego Bay, St. James in 2006 and have bilked Americans out of billions of dollars. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, dramatic sights, sounds, and scenes in the aftermath of the flood rains this week.
See car them there turn back. Yo, you wicked brother, you wicked. It's up Jackson Road.
We need help at Sunnyside, St. Catherine. From after 3, the rain has been wetting them. They are so cold and screaming. We need help.
For Danvers spend all road. Boyfriend house flood out, we put in bed from black. The water run through. Water not good up here. The river, that come over, just one little piece of something all up the river.